A document surfaced on the internet of Kaizer Chiefs' bid to young Africans of $200,000, which when you convert it to South African rands is 3.5 million rands. And the chairman of Young Africans has not verified whether this document is real or not, but he has said something about Kaizer Chiefs, talking about them to sign the striker. And maybe you might not like what you hear. And also going to talk about what Collins Mbesuma said about Kaizer Chiefs. Well, not really Kaizer Chiefs, but South African strikers in general, and why I actually agree with him. And the Kaizer Chiefs' budget and how much they've actually spent and how much more they can spend. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. Okay, so we are starting with Clement Mzize. Who is Clement Mzize? He is actually a striker who plays for Young Africans. He's only 20. He's also from Tanzania and is playing for Yanga. He's been with Yanga since he was 17. He's coming from mid development Yanga, and he has worked with Nasreddin Nabi, which is why you see the connection there between Chiefs, Nabi, and that player as well. So there's a connection there. Last season he scored 10 goals. This season he has scored 2 goals in 3 matches, one in the Champions League and one in their Super Cup. So it looks like he has started the season in a very good way. However, the chairman of Yanga has confirmed that yes, they received bids from Kaizer Chiefs and other clubs, and not just for that player, but he says that they are refusing, well, not refusing, they are sort of refusing to sell the player, but not because they hate Kaizer Chiefs, because he's one of their key players. They want to compete in the Champions League, and that's just that. And I know people are going to say, but that there is also another document that shows Al Ahly bidding 100,000. Sure, I know. Al Ahly also sent their own bid, but it was also rejected. There is also another bid that Far Post is reporting about. They're saying there's a bid of over 7 million rands, and that was also been rejected. So Chiefs bid half the team that was rejected for offering 7 million. So let's not now make this about, oh, you see these teams again not wanting to sell to Kaizer Chiefs, because Young has a good relationship with Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, we played them last season. We played them beginning of the season. So there's clearly a good relationship between the two teams. So we can't just go around making things about, oh, it's Chiefs, because remember also, besides Ukuthi Young are competing in Africa, they also want to defend their own things in Tanzania as well. And on top of that, you have a player like who's this guy, Aziz Ki, right? Their best player whose contract they extended. And that would mean he would not sit in a team that is not ambitious, because he's wanted by other teams that are relatively bigger than Yanga. So if you're going to sell your best players to other teams while you are trying to keep another one of your best players, he's going to think, these guys are not taking this thing seriously. Let me go and find other teams. So all the teams are trying to be ambitious. I just want to say that as a side note, that we're not getting that player, and it's okay, because sometimes teams just do things because it's only at the best interest of their team. Let's talk about Collins Mbesuma. But if you're enjoying the video so far, do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, so you fall in between the two things. So if I see 1,000 views, I need to see 1,000 likes, you know, proportionality. Anyways, let's talk about Collins Mbesuma, who says that he thinks South African players lack hunger in general. And I think about this, and I look at the players like Ashley Dupree, right? A very quick player. Naturally, he's quick. And he says that because as a striker, you are judged by the goals you make and not the runs you make. I laughed a bit when I read that, because I'm like, yeah, we sit here and talk about how many good runs Dupree actually makes, but when he's 1v1 with the keeper, he misses. Like, the only times where I was surprised by Dupree was actually in the dub. I'm like, Dupree, you can do this. But I feel like they then get relaxed in other aspects, because if his finishing was just 5% better than what it is, Dupree could have easily finished with 10 plus goals in the previous season. And I just think of how a player like Luka Modric moved from Tottenham Hotspurs to Real Madrid, and he arrived an hour before training started, and he found Cristiano Ronaldo was already one of the best, like second best after Messi. Yeah. Anyways, he was still one of the best players in the world, but he was still arriving at training before everyone else. Yet here in South Africa, if players who are still struggling with their finishing, but they arrive at the same time as everyone to train, they leave as everyone else is leaving. No one is staying behind to practice. Bezuma says after he broke that record, he will still stay behind and practice and practice. And guess what? You saw him. You saw the output that he was bringing out on the field because of the extra work that he was doing. But our players, you clearly see that it technique collab. I saw Kim Vuidi take a free kick yesterday. It was horrible. Like, I don't even know what the man was thinking, but you can clearly tell that this man does not train to take these free kicks. Should have just given it to Relem Fukeng. But now, Guayena Vele, he's still a kid. But they need to grow and get better in all of those things. Because in South Africa, there are very few players that you can say, this one seems like they've mastered a technique. Like Ulai Lake in free kicks. Like at times you see, Ngati, who's this guy? Dlamini has a technique in free kicks. You know, but then you ask yourself, how much more are they working on them? Because how many times do we see direct free kicks being scored in South Africa? How many times do we see accurate diagonal passes being spread across in South African football? How many times do we see keepers being chipped by strikers in South African football? Because most of the times you have a striker 1v1 with the keeper, they just try to blast the ball to the keeper and it ends up not happening the way that you want it to happen. So I think that there is that problem. And also, you know, one thing that we've been talking about before we talk about the budget is the whole thing of players coming to Kaizer Chiefs and getting comfortable. And I wonder if that thing now specifically for Kaizer Chiefs, because Besuma wasn't specifically addressing Chiefs, but I'm asking myself, with the talks like that players get to Chiefs and they're like, well, I'm top of the mountain, and they relax. Like, what can we do? Or what can Kaizer Chiefs do, because we can't do anything, to make sure that when players get to Chiefs, they don't get comfortable and feel like, we've made it in life? Because I'm thinking, right, when players sign contracts, at this point, it feels like they should be on baseline salaries, say 100,000, make an example. And then everything else is based on your performance, because then that gives an incentive to players to perform better. Because if I'm earning 500,000, even though there are bonuses on top of that, 500,000 is still a lot of money. Like in South Africa, 500,000 per month is a lot of money. So if you're earning 500,000 per month, what motivation do you have? Because you have a 3-year contract, 500,000 per month is guaranteed, whether you play, whether you are injured, whether nothing is happening. So what do you guys think should be done to incentivize players who are at Kaizer Chiefs to not relax and think, we've made it? Now, there was a report by Kickoff, and also Gold reported on that thing, team sort of. Chiefs have a budget of 50 million rands and 10 million rands for emergencies. And how much money have they spent? Well, start with Urashun Totally. So Urashun Totally, it was reported that Chiefs paid 5.4 million for him. So minus 5.4 million. And then there is Ubonganisem. Market value is 7 million, but the reports were saying that the Chiefs paid around 5 million. So that's 10.4 million. We are now left with what? We are now left with 39.5 million. And then we go to Urashun Totally. Reports 10 million, which means we are now left with 29 million. And then you have Inacio, whose market value is 250,000, which is 250,000 euros. That is, in South African rands, that's 4.9 million, which is 5 million, which means Kaizer Chiefs have spent approximately 26 million rands in this transfer window, but they still have 24 million rands available if this report is to be true, because Gaston Sereno was signed for free. Oh, I also forgot to mention Untwaru. He was the one who was 5.4 million, Sam 5 million, Dotley 10 million, that's 20.4 million, and then Inaso 5 million, which makes 25.4 million, which as I'm rounding off to 26 million. So with the 24 million that is remaining of the 50 million, because we're not talking about the 10 million for emergency yet, where should it go? Because they are clearly trying to get a striker, and we've heard that Unabi wants a left back and a striker at this point. It's like when the WhatsApp group, because I said that's the positions I would want to strengthen. But with those two positions available, I want to hear from you guys. Which or where should this money be spent in? Left back, Basatin, or find someone else, or should we try and find a striker? Do let me know down on the comment section below. There is still also Napolis, by the way. Just by the way. So let me know what you think about that down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.